Okay, so this is a Battletech game I wrote many years ago to test the viability of a real-time Battletech with 10-second turns in real life, meaning one turn of Battletech. It seemed to work okay. I started, I mean, this is a Daishi Widowmaker with Natasha as the pilot, so I can drive around, I can turn, I can drive through different kinds of terrain, I can worry about water, I can target other mechs. As you see, the little radar thing here works. It doesn't have the rotating thing, but I mean, it shows you where the stuff is, and it shows you where your target is. So if I change my target, of course, that changes that. And here's your target data. It's just got the points of armor. This is more debugged than what would actually be in any game, just because it's kind of ugly. Um, and then over here, I've got all the weapon systems on this particular mech and what their current arc and range band is. So if I turn around, you'll see all of a sudden, boom, I'm in short range. So I'm targeting a Peregrine, which is a very light mech. So let's go ahead and shoot my Ultra Autocannon 20 at it. So boom, I did that. I blew off the left arm. I don't know, hit something else maybe. Maybe the second shot missed. I'll fire a couple of ERPPC shots, and there's one, and there's two. I hit the center torso. Let's fire a couple of large pulse lasers. Let's see, four. I hit the center torso, and I killed it. And I killed it by I cored it. So I mean, it's pretty easy to use, and you don't you don't rely on your mouse clicking ability to kill things. It's more of who your pilot is. And the goal in the game is, of course, keep your pilot alive. If you get a headshot, there's a slight chance you might survive due to TAC Ops rules, but overall, your goal is to experience up your pilot. Now, this is just the basic prototype to see if the 10-second thing worked, or it would just be kind of clunky. And I think it worked okay. I can alpha strike stuff and overheat. I just shot everything at that guy. I overheated. I got to wait to power my reactor back on. I blew off its arm. I did damage to everything. I mean, Natasha doesn't miss very often, but it was a fast mech, so she might have missed a little. So anyway, so that's kind of what this part of the gameplay was going to be. I was going to actually make it so you're in the center, and then the map moved around you. But the VB.NET engine I was using at the time, this is actually just GDI. It's just the Windows interface. It wouldn't handle it. So I started looking at DirectX for 3D, and then Microsoft pulled support for DirectX. And that kind of killed this project. Around that time, I had a bunch of drama in the Battletech community that didn't help things either. So this kind of died. Since then, I mean, this is years and years later, I've started learning Java, and I think I can actually port most of this stuff over to Java and do the same sort of game in Java, but have it work the way that I intended. Because on top of just this whole combat thing here, there's going to be, I mean, it supports all unit types. I'm only showing the mechs because it's easier, but it supports vehicles, and hell, I could have a warship flying around here if I wanted to. Um, but the goal is to have your mech that drives around. You're always in the center of the screen. You can, of course, zoom in and out based on your radar. You would only see what your sensors could detect. Um, and this would scale out to an entire planet. The planet was going to have 10-kilometer chunks that could be raised and lowered and flipped and reversed and inverted and stuff like that to make them a little bit more unique. So I could actually map out an entire planet with only like 20 gigabytes of space. It sounds like a lot, but it actually compresses and stuff like that. But anyway, so I can map out an entire planet. So you can drive from one side of a planet to another, and you can do it in real time. So it's going to take you a while, but you could do it. And it was going to be a persistent planet. So if this is a heavy woods and you destroyed it, it would be rubble. Well, you come back in a week, it's still rubble. You come back in maybe a year, and now all of a sudden it's light woods again. Come back in 10 years, maybe it's heavy woods again. If you blow up a mech over here and forget about it and come back 20 years later and nobody saw it, it's still going to be there. But this is all real time, so if you're going to be playing this game 20 years from now, that's that's a success on me, I guess. But so this was going to encapsulate an entire planet. On top of it being the entire planet, it's actually going to map out all 25 to 3,500 planets in the inner sphere, or the clan homeworlds, whatever. So it's going to actually support all of those. I kind of designed all the technology to do that, so it's really a matter of just getting the graphics done and finishing up the engine. It's going to have multiplayer support. It's going to scale up, so you could become a lance commander, a battalion commander, a general, a house commander. You could be a scout. You could be a single infantryman, or a special forces guy, or you could just be a politician or whatever it was. So it's going to support all of that within the universe. You can become a warship captain and offload your warships at a pirate point, wait for them to burn in. They can do an orbital drop, and I mean everything would be mapped out. I mean, BattleTech is the only game that's ever been written that allows you to truly map out everything from an individual infantry guy shooting a mouse to multiple hundreds of warships fighting it out. And since I can do this in real time, and you don't have all the dice rolls and whatnot, it makes it a lot easier. Um, so that's kind of what this was and what it was going to be, and maybe I'll work on it again. I don't know. It's hard for me to stay focused on things. I start lots of projects and I get burnout, or I hit some obstacle and I just kind of stop doing them. Um, Maybe I'll go back to them later. Like I said, hopefully Java will allow me to continue this one day. The actual code behind all of this isn't that hard because I've already inputted all the data, like all the weapon stats. I've gotten a massive database where each weapon has hundreds of different properties. I've got all 8,500 units in the universe in a database. Each one of those has like 1,000 properties. I've got all the formations that have ever been made. I've inputted all this data over the years, all the planet coordinates. I mean, I went through and put in 100,000 planet coordinates manually from Illustrator so we could actually make accurate maps. So I mean, I've done all the legwork and all the hard stuff. So really now it's just staying focused, creating a bunch of these little 10-kilometer regions. Um, and actually, if I had that, Fractal Mapper will now make the planets randomly and does a pretty good job at that. So the hard part's just going to be staying focused and then putting all those little pieces together. But since we have rules for everything and we have actual, roll 2d6 for this, it's not like I have to come up with them. It's not like I have to make them work. Every single thing I would do here, it would be as close to the book as possible. I would never stray. I'm not going to create my own abilities. I'm not going to add new weapons. I'm not just going to make new units. I'm not going to do any of that. It's going to be 100% pure to the tabletop. Much like Megamet, just a real-time version of it where you only drive one guy. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And enjoy, I guess.